Yeah, welcome everyone to my next new video, and this is in English. Sometimes I have the impulse to do that and sometimes I don't. So today it's in English, and my first video about consciousness and transformation, where I told about my Kundalini rising, was in German. So I will only pick up some points out of there and talk about it now in English, but it also seems to me that today, for me, it's a big day because things are changing in my perception. So before you think, what? I need to go some steps back. So actually, about 1 year ago, I had a Kundalini rising, and it happened to me that it was a really dark night of the soul. I had like 2 weeks long psychotic thoughts and feelings, nothing else, but only thoughts and feelings that were so immense that they don't know how this happened, but it overlaid over this reality. So became for me, it became so true that I was gone crazy for 2 weeks. After that, these thoughts and emotions had no impact anymore on the reality. So how was it coming to that? Long story told short, it was that when I had the Kundalini rising, what happened? Energies from my feet until my head were vibrating, coming up, going down, coming up. I could literally feel the feelings in the different areas of my body, how it was here and then it was there, and then suddenly it goes back down, and then it goes several times up and down, and then at the very late end there was my heart beating on a frequency like boom 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 boom. I don't know how long, like maybe 20 seconds, and then it was over. I've not forced that. This process came to me in the night. Suddenly I wake up and then it started. I've never really looked for that. I mean, I was in my real life experience, it was also a very dark night of the soul, because with my two little children, which came after each other, like the first was 1 year, then the second, I was pregnant, and the second came 1 year after. So it was like the closest thing possible. I have the first child, the second child. We wanted to, but at least they came very close, and this made an experience for me to cope with that was enormous. I mean, yeah, it happened. And in this area of reality, I had this one time in the night, this Kundalini rising. I would say it was Kundalini, because otherwise I cannot describe it, because after that point where these energies were going up and down, things started to change in my life. And what this is, I will talk about. Especially geometry was coming to me more extreme and from different perspectives, and I've never experienced that before. I mean, I was interested in geometry before, since childhood, and I loved math and also art. This was two of my main subjects where I stand at the point after school, what do I want to study? And I said, okay, maybe informatics, so IT, technology, or architecture, building houses and stuff, you know, that's the. And I started to study informatics, at least 2 years deep dive, and then I realized I don't want to become a techie, like going deep dive, programming stuff and making machines work. I always had the concepts to do certain program code, but I never had the interest to go deep and make the point and comma, so to say, where you need the language, the programming language to do that. So finally, after 2 years of studying informatics, the real basic information technology stuff, I decided, okay, no, I need to switch. I want to go more in the direction with people, interacting with people, and not being the programmer on the computer doing that stuff all the time. So I switched to business informatics, and then again 3 years on top of that. I only made a bachelor out of that finally, but after that 5 years I also felt that something was missing. And then I decided to study architecture also. I've done that half a year, only half a year, and then I said, okay, where is this leading to? I need to earn money, I need to do something with it, and in the end maybe I find out that I will also be not confident and happy with that, what I'm doing now, like playing ping pong. And then I said, okay, now I stop all this kind of searching for something. I will just do and go with it, what is there, and earn my money, do my life stuff. Maybe that's the first time where I came more to a basic and grounding level, because before I was really like searching for don't know what. I mean, what I was searching for all the time was truth. Since my childhood, my soul, so to say, always wanted to know the truth, but out of my experience in my childhood, I was not able to catch the truth, and there was a lot of misperspectives and or overlaying perspectives where I don't got to the clue what really is true. I mean, family topics. And it made me really like, what the hell, I want to know, and yeah, but I couldn't. And then I also needed to let go of that. It was not the time, actually. So coming from a deep search for truth and yeah, wisdom, you can call it whatever you want. Truth is for me the really deep down basic of wisdom. So you can have, yeah, wisdom in everything, but if you're not following the truth, you can have a lot of beautiful stuff that is building up on top of this fundament you are creating, you have. And that's finally the stuff which today are coming to me. What's the fundament of what I'm doing till now, and as new perceptions are coming in, what will be after that in future. So I cannot exactly talk about that yet because it's just starting today, but I see some implications. So don't worry, we're going back. I had this Kundalini rising, and it happened to me that I had strong feelings that were yeah, actually I brought them out. I knew that I would never and will never give my emotions to someone else, because this is also part of my experience, childhood, where I learned to manage my emotions. And that doesn't mean that you are suppressing them, that does really mean to let them out, but for yourself, in your own area, and then reflect on that. What was it? What's actually coming out there? And this is a process I've done several times with small emotions. There was a lot of sadness involved in, like they were coming my whole childhood somewhere, sometime, and then I sit somewhere in the room and I really started crying and crying until it was over. And it's very surprisingly that it was always like 3 or 5 minutes later, they stopped automatically. Even if you wanted to cry more, there's no reason. And then you think like, okay, it's gone, fine. You're exhausted after that, even if it was only 4 minutes. And in this process I experienced earlier, it was always like, okay, you are giving the emotion, you're setting them free without judging, without thinking about. You're totally 100% emotionally, that happened to me. You let go, you're going in this as if it was really now. So you're in the emotion actually, when you go into the now. And then after 4 minutes, it automatically stopped with being emotionally. There was no dependency anymore to this emotion, and I felt very free after that. And very, yeah, surprisingly, there was also coming thoughts after this 3-4 minute process of um, letting go of emotions. There were thoughts after that which have a connection to this emotion. This was always like in my life, somewhere, sometime. And then I felt like, okay, oh my God, I know now that why I felt so deep, sadly, and it was like childhood topics and yeah, this lifetime, yeah. So only this reality, and it helped me to let go of, yeah, some network dependency stuff that made me not in peace and harmony, that was somehow, yeah, limiting my wish and my goal to be in peace and in harmony. So every time I let go of these small emotions, I felt in peace and harmony again after that. And so it came to me that I know emotions, you need to let them go if they come, not to others, just for yourself, to reflect on them, to be in it totally, and then afterwards reflection process is coming automatically. I've never started thinking about that intentionally, it just started automatically, and then yeah, wisdom, or so to say, solutions are coming. So from this thing I learned how to cope with emotions, and this is nothing I've learned somewhere. I cannot tell you if you can find this somewhere. I mean, psychotherapy, I think they don't teach that. They are trying to solve things by mind. So this is a totally maybe new different area to let people go into the process with their emotions deeply. And from there they are coming so much more wisdom out of yourself. I cannot tell about that. I mean, my own story is just telling for myself. Okay, then I got to know the process over and over again, how to cope with emotions. And in this Kundalini rising, there was so huge new emotions I've never experienced before. But again, I said, okay, this stuff needs to go out of me. What is that? Just go. But it was not easy. But I'm a strong person. I know that, and I will go for whatever truth is bringing. You can be sure. This is my intention. And this will be in every area that I'm touching. So, and if I'm touching something that seems to be related to another intention, then maybe I'm unconscious about this relationship, or it's manipulated. Then it's not coming from me. I mean, stuff I'm saying is really strong related to focus of truth, happiness and peace, and everything which is not related to that can be like bringing truth to dark topics, or it's my own consciousness that is not yet, hopefully it's coming, more conscious, but not yet conscious enough to see. So that's always the process with people, where you can say, don't judge on them, because when you can see from outside to one person that this person is doing stuff that is really annoying or bad or whatever, you can always say, whether it's the intention of that being that is really that direction that you see, or it's just an unconscious thing they have, why they do that. And if they were conscious, they wouldn't do it anymore like this. And that's the case now in this time, where we need to be very careful with opinions and stuff like that, and finger pointing, because the more knowledge we have, the more perspectives we see, and maybe we will change our actions and our judgment. So judgment is just the connection between 2 points, but not seeing where all the points, the other points, are related and have some different connections as well. And they are forming something, what you haven't seen yet, because you only have a linear function, like, you know, that thing from one point to another, and not having a triangle, a fourth, a square, a fifth, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have different points of perspective. You can start with a circle of 3 points, of 4 points, of 5 points, 6 points, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The question is, where do you begin? And the question is, do you know why you begin there or there? And that's the unconscious thing, okay? I will talk about geometry in other videos. This is going too much stuff. So actually, what I wanted to say, back to my Kundalini rising, I had very strong emotions, and the same technique I used to let them go. But it took me 1 hour to let go of this emotion, and it was only one of, I think, 4 emotions. I had totally, it was like sadness again, it was like anger, it was anxiety, and it was deep hate. And they were somehow connected and stuff. And these 4 emotions came to me on different days, but for each emotion I was able to let that go. I was telling my husband and my children, okay, my husband, take the children somewhere, I need to let go of that, otherwise I don't know where to go with this stuff. And so it came to me, I go to the bathroom and sit there and just sometimes look into the mirror and yeah, just crying for one process, and the other process was just shouting like with anxiety and hatred. And in this process I was like switching between 100% emotionally, maybe 5 minutes. Then I was a shortcut, like looking in the mirror and, oh my God, what is this face talking about? What is it? Okay, don't judge, go on. And then it goes back to emotion, and I let go of this emotion, really like ping-ponging, like watching in the mirror, crying or shouting, whatever, 1 hour long. And then actually it was gone, and I was so, yeah, well, what's the word, I was so relieved, yeah, relieved, so free of that, what was there. And I was like, oh my God, what was it? I don't know, but I don't care, good that it's gone. This was the thing. And actually it happens 4 times for me to have each of these emotional stuff. And then of course my husband, my mom, which is around me somewhere, they see me doing this stuff and they said, okay, what's wrong with you? And that's the point where actually I was not on my own any longer, and they said, okay, you need some help, they said. And I said, okay, maybe this can help, because I have not found the truth yet. So who's telling me the truth? It's again like, who's telling me the truth? In the end, we are telling us the truth ourselves. So if this is true or not, this is another question, depending on what we see and what we don't see. Okay, but then it came to the point that they said, okay, you need to go to the doctor or something. We bring you somewhere where they will help you. And I said, okay, cannot be bad. Let's see what they have to say. And where I got to was like a clinic, a hospital, where doors were closed after that. And that's the first thing I realized then, that okay, what's happening now? But as I was trained in childhood and my earlier years, you need to accept things which are coming, which you cannot change, and you need to do the best out of it. So with this attitude, I went there and said, okay, let's see what's coming next, even if it's a little bit crazy and yeah, this stuff. So I need to say, going to that hospital was deep inside this, yeah, maximum phase of psychotic input. And I'm very glad that I really thank God for that I had the possibility to let go of my emotions first, and then got to that hospital, because there you cannot cry, you cannot shout, otherwise they will give you medication to stop that. And what I realized is, if you cannot let go of these emotions, you will not get out of this circle of craziness, because these emotions are the ones which make you crazy. And if you suppress this with medication, then you will not get out of this vicious circle. So I had really so much, I'm so thankful, I cannot say that again, to let go of this emotion stuff before it, because then in the clinic I only had to cope with my thoughts any longer, because they were also very psychotic. Like, I reflected that later on, there was different stories involved, like different circles, so to say, which each circle has a different story, and they all came to one circle at once, and overlapping over this circle of reality. So it came to me that they are real, and I was thinking about what is really true in my life anymore, because nothing I thought is real anymore. So this made it really crazy, and I denied reality. So it was really important for me, at least, to be in this hospital and to have another area of coping with stuff. And then after 3-4 days in this area, I realized, okay, there are thoughts coming which are not mapping anymore. Some connections are not really true, because I'm a really logical person, but I'm also a really emotional person. So when my emotions are gone, then I'm really able to switch to logical stuff. And that's why I say, if you're like me, you need to let go of your emotions first to become clear in your mind what it's really about. Because otherwise these thoughts make you crazy. Connecting to the emotion, it leads to new thoughts upon these thoughts which were coming first, and these new thoughts were created by your mind, that's my interpretation, that lead you to something that is really strange, that has not any longer some connection to your reality. And this is really the danger about this stuff. So you need to be clear about your emotions first. Then you have freedom to reflect on your thoughts. But this is not the process which is starting directly after letting go of your emotions. This is starting after you are sorting out what kind of stories are there. I first realized, okay, there are different stories. This is coming later in my in my knowing, that there are different stories. The first thing in the hospital was, okay, there's some crazy stuff, I will let go all of that, and I will only focus on the now. What is now? And the now was totally different from the now that I had one day before, where I was not in hospital, at home, and so was able from a different location to switch to the now again, because there was no connection any longer to the now I know. So it was a new now, like being somewhere located somewhere different in this house, and this helped me to split again from these thoughts coming in, and they were coming in before in this other location at home, actually. So going to another location helped me to let go of the connections between the thought which were coming, which is crazy, and my real life experience that is here, reality. Okay? So the connection could be cut in this new location, and it was like all the other circles on top of the reality circle are expanding again, like going somewhere, not crossing the circle anymore, so it just loses connection. So this was after my clinical phase that I said, okay, don't know what this stuff is, really, I don't know. I would like to know, but maybe not, don't know. It's because this stuff was really not I mean, the thoughts which are coming, I won't talk about that yet, maybe later, I don't know. I can talk about that, but actually these thoughts which were coming were so dark that they really made, I mean, I'm a strong person normally, and I'm not fearful about normal area stuff, but this thing made me really fearful, and really hatred and sadness, really, like, with combined with death. Everything was combined with death, and was combined with misuse and sexual misuse, and I cannot imagine what is worse than that, what was coming in my thoughts. And I was also, while I was at home still, before the clinic, I was writing stuff down, like, okay, what's in my mind, this need to get out, because I was thinking, okay, the same process with my emotions, like getting that out is maybe working for my thoughts to get that out. And I was just writing that in my diary, and later on it turned out that thoughts you cannot erase, emotions you can erase, so you don't have the connection any longer to this emotion, that it makes you stuck to something that's old. But thoughts you cannot erase, you can only change the perspective on them and have that as a story or as a knowing. Okay, and this frees you from being psychotic somewhere where everyone else around you says, okay, you're crazy, you need to go somewhere. Okay, so what next? The thoughts were not gone really. Actually, they were gone first. After my clinic, thoughts were like smoothing down. I said, okay, it was a story. I cannot say what it's about, but I was so glad that I was in reality, back in reality, and that I was thankful for my children, thankful for my husband, for everything I have, my work, I mean, at this time I was in parental leave, so good that it was in this time period and not while I had to work, so really smooth in this area. But I was really glad that I have my 3D life, like, okay, everything I got to know is still true. And yeah, have something I could hold on, say, okay, this is great, this is, yeah, it's me again. So this was after the clinic, and very lately, maybe about, yeah, you can say, finally this stuff with geometry and all this stuff coming in again is happening, yeah, you can say around 1 year later. Then it comes again that you have remembrancing on the thoughts that you had in this psychotic phase, while I was also in the clinic. And what started now, at least it's about 1-2 months back from now, what started is the stories, the single aspects of the story are trying to get a more ordered, structured circle. So like in this psychotic phase you had little aspects of, let's say, 4 or 5 stories, and they're coming in like how a computer is matching, a processor is processing information. Yeah, you get something from this stream, and then you get from that, and then you get again this, and how you process information, like several tasks you have in the computer which need to process linearly into action. This was the same with my thoughts. What in this psychotic phase, I had all the stuff coming in at one time, and they were mixing. Okay, this was one aspect, then another aspect of another story is coming, then from another story again in this linear stuff, and then it came to me like one story in this psychotic phase. I realized that this aspect somehow was different, but I couldn't get the whole picture, and so it was one story, and I thought, okay, totally crazy, no logic, real craziness. So after 1 year, and finally it started in my head that remembrancing are coming to these thoughts. They are not doing anything with me anymore, because there's no emotional relationship anymore, so they are just there, and it's for me like, okay, interesting, I've thought about that in this time. And then it's going to, okay, this is here, and then there comes another thought, it's going here, and then you find yourself thinking about the thoughts about one story, and then another day thoughts are coming about that story, and you think, okay, that's two stories actually. They are somehow related, but not really. So I started analyzing that without emotional connection, and this is exciting. And well, exciting is, it's just like this, yeah. So it's nothing that I mean, when you're looking for truth, you want to find out, and you take things you need. But of course, you need to be careful to not make wrong decisions. And in this process of interpreting information, you always need to have some letting go attitude. When you don't know where it's going, don't try to solve it, because otherwise your mind will find ways. And that's the thing what I'm also doing, because at a certain point of information I'm saying, okay, don't know the whole picture, so okay, let's go. I need to do my stuff here, and then I mean, there's also, I need to say that even if these thoughts are coming, you have your activities in real life, 3D, so to say, caring about your children, doing your work, doing the household, doing your sports, going out to nature, and also relaxing, thinking about nothing. So all that we do when we are kind of normal, so to say. So these thoughts I have, they are somewhere, sometime they're coming. I can say, okay, I don't focus on that yet. Now, don't focus it now, I will later. Sometimes I wake up a little bit earlier in the morning, and then I can talk about, or no, yeah, well, write about, or mostly I'm drawing geometries, so they are coming in my head, and I find like, oh wow, this is beautiful, I need to write that down, and then it's going there on the paper. A lot of paper is somewhere, so I need to, yeah, give this into videos as well by time, because there is stuff which is dark, and there's stuff which is light. I mean, there's things in between, of course, but I can see that there are coming different perspectives on the same topic, and the question is, what is the basic, what is the fundament where you're going? And sometimes I have this streaming of information that is yeah, going to a certain point, and then I think, okay, what's coming next? But there's nothing coming next, and if I let go, because there's nothing coming, and I'm not forcing that, then suddenly I find myself on another day or something starting from another point and going somewhere. And so it happens that I'm going like different lines, and after a certain time you realize there are connections, and then after a certain time, this was today, you realize that all the connections I've done so far are also in a very, yeah, a special area, so to say, and now there's a new area coming. And so it's like in life, yeah, you have at certain points in your life, you change life, like when your baby is born, when you had a near-death experience, when you lost someone, whatever, yeah, you know that from your experience. At certain points you have the possibility to cope with life differently. So so what happened to me is that I sorted out the different stories that were in the psychotic phase to bring them into different stories, like puzzles. And the story is not complete yet. Maybe it will never, you never know. So I'm not saying I know it all. We don't know it all, otherwise we wouldn't be so limited here. And this means we need each other to bring stuff out in this world where everyone has a special perspective or a special circle around. So we need to overlap our different perspectives in 3D to make something bigger out of that, with a fundament that is fitting in consciousness. I mean, to have a conscious intention and knowing about that what we're building. So then we can create that building. or that stuff what we're doing. Okay, I would say this was a really, this 1 year was related to stuff I've never experienced so deeply before in my life. It had some implications also on my real 3D life, like connection to my mom, where all the stuff which are calming, I was like being more humble, more of gratitude, more of compassion, and of non-judging towards others, especially my mom, and to break out of this circle of problems that I had my whole childhood. And it's all related, that this process of Kundalini rising and geometry as well, that they brought me to something bigger that brings happiness and peace for myself. And that's the most important thing of all of that. So for me, and yeah. So what I wanted to say is that don't judge on others if you see they're crazy, because my interpretation, it's my interpretation, is that being crazy is just in the middle of a process, but if you can't get out of that middle back to normal and then reflecting on what happened, then you're like catched in the middle. And that's the thing where maybe with new techniques, with new intentions or conscious intentions and knowingness and new information, whatever, we can help these people get out of this vicious circle in the middle, because they are not crazy forever. They are only crazy as long as they are in the middle. And if you let them out, they will be on their own again. I mean, geometrically, it's clear for me to, it's just an idiom, like a metaphor, to say, if you're surrounded by everyone, you cannot be yourself. Yeah, so let this person out of the surrounding, don't suppress them, don't put fingers on them or labels on them, just let them free, don't judge on them, and then they can be free. And in this thing, more specifically, I would say, when it comes to therapy, then we really need to let the process to the person itself, and just support by giving the knowledge how he or she can do it, him or herself. And this means to give freedom and room to this person, that he or she can open up for his or her feelings. The feelings making us stuck in this circle, in this vicious circle. And as I told, reflections can only come afterwards. Connections can only separate itself from each other that were like not true, separate again and becoming normal again. And the implication is also that they have the possibility to see something new, that there's coming in something new that is no longer creating a very crazy stuff, but it's creating something really structured and really knowing. So I'm not telling about what this can be, because I'm not in the end of my interpretations that are so clear to me to say that. But these stories need to become stories first. In this vicious circle, these people are really catched up by emotions, and they are not capable of seeing truth in the moment together with what is out there, because truth is later on maybe having new connections about the story and the now, but with a strong focus on the now. So you will never lose that now. That's the main point, where someone else don't need to be afraid. If someone has a Kundalini rising, if someone has a process where he or she gone crazy, the thing is, they will become normal in 3D, and they just have some new information around, and they won't do anything with it according to according to the emotions, because they are not there any longer, so they're not going crazy. Okay, I cannot tell you, because I cannot prove what these stories are about. I can only have assumptions, and I'm saying that it's an assumption from me, that I say these stories are about maybe my lifetime, my relatives' life time and lineage, and maybe it's about the world's lineage, where every one of us come from. When you see of Adam and Eve story, but I'm not relating to that story because I cannot tell if this is true or not. But saying the whole is in the small fractal, and so we all are connected somewhere. You know that if you're a spiritual guidance seeker or guidance giver, whatever, you know that. So I can only assume what these stories are about, and as I said, my puzzles are not complete yet. They are just structuring around in these different areas, so not in the now, so there's no overlapping. Good. That I wanted to say. There's a lot of stuff we scientifically need to sort out with an intention of peace and freedom, to help really these people and not suppressing symptoms, as we have that sometimes, maybe a lot more times than we wish to in this world, like giving medications for something that is a symptom and you're not finding out why this symptom is there. I'm talking more about a holistic thing, like emotions or feelings. Emotions is for me something which is old, but which is triggered in the now. And feelings is something which is not old, it's just coming in the now, and you have a feeling to something. So what I say with holistic attitudes, it's like you're connecting thoughts, emotions, and body and soul. That brings you to think about illness and sickness differently. So there are many psychiatrists, Dr. Rüdiger Dahlke, for example, he's connecting psychological aspects with the physical body, like psychosomatic aspects, and is telling how they are connected. And there's also a topic which are connected to the feelings, and the feelings are more than ever, I think, related, this is my interpretation, related to the old stuff from other incarnations. So, okay, now I know some of you are not believing in incarnation, so it's okay. It's just my interpretation, and you know you don't need to judge on that, and you can put out this video if you say this is not mine. It's fine. I mean, I have the freedom to tell my opinion as you have, so you can listen, or you can just say it's not mine, but I still listen, or you say, okay, I don't want to listen, I will do something else. It's fine for me. So I believe in reincarnation, and yeah, so in this context I will also interpret certain things, and also I will always differentiate between interpretation and what is the information that is coming from the psychotic phase, which is ordering later on. So the interpretation is like a different layer I'm building up, so I'm always clear about what is that, to not mix up anything. So this is my logical part, that why I was more in the logic and maybe studied informatics, I don't know, but yeah, you can see if you find that logic or not, depends on you. So That's the thing I'm doing. I'm doing the geometry stuff, which is also information that is coming in. I'm just writing that, and it's like, oh my god, this is interesting. Wow, where's this coming from? Okay, I don't know. Okay, but yeah, don't mind just writing that down. And I need to be careful because in these things I'm like so flashed of the beautiness and the harmonics and the relationship between geometries that I think, okay, this need to be out, the world need to know that, but yeah, maybe you know that already, that's another point. But I tend to give that somewhere for you, and then later on I realize, okay, this was only one stream, okay, there's coming another stream, I need to do a next video, and so it has passed some time where I've not done some videos directly after that streaming, and it shows up that there's actually some areas which are connected, the lines, the streamings, and that there is some area which is not connected, which totally opens up a new area, and this is really, yeah, this is really exciting. That's the most exciting stuff that I'm interested in my free time, and as I said, in the morning I have 1 hour to have that before my children are waking up. And yeah, another aspect that this is just side information, since this Kundalini rising, oh no, that's not specific enough. In this Kundalini rising, in the psychotic phase, I had a very limited amount of sleep. Like, I thought I don't need to eat anything more or less, very less. More, not more is wrong, it's just less. And I don't need to sleep that much any longer. This was just taking place in this psychotic phase, like 2 weeks, if I surround that. And then later on it all came back to normal 1 year later, and now after 1 year, so it's back some months, but then it started that I realized, since this geometry was coming in, like everything, like really the stories became structured around, and then simultaneously geometry is coming in. And since that point I also experienced that I need to eat less and I need to sleep less. It's like you're waking up in the morning at 4 and you go to bed whenever you're tired, but you're waking up early, and yeah, this wasn't the case before, but it's okay. So guys, this is my story now somewhere around told in English, and yeah, let's see what's coming. I wish you all the best, have a good time, and yeah, happiness, peace, power, logicalness, or logic and emotions, and we need to bring all this stuff together, get more clear and clarity about everything which is out there, and it's coming again. It's always, the truth is inside. That's what the big masters are saying. I mean, Buddhist masters, and they, like, not religion and not science. I'm saying the truth is, for me, it's coming from inside, but you need to have the capability to let things transform itself to form truth for myself, at least. And while that, also standing with 2 feet, very grounded on this earth, and so things can work out and develop and flourish, and that's my, yeah, that's my interpretation, so to say. Okay, I wish you all the best, and maybe see you next time. Namaste.